What's going on, everybody? Kweku here, back with another video. Today, Microsoft is getting ready to release the full release of Windows 10, the May update, or if you didn't know before, if you follow the insider builds, this build was pretty much Windows 10 2004. Yes, it's a throwback, but it means April 2020 is how they name it. So the 04 is the month that it's supposed to release, and then the year is the first two digits. So 2004, or better known as 20H1 if you're really deep insider. This has a number of features in there, and I have them written down, and I'm also going to be looking on the computer to see some of it. So let's take a look. Alright, so taking a start with the first one here, Cortana has some changes. Cortana, I'm sure you know, has been very just become less and less important, less and less relevant. Microsoft is pushing Cortana as to be more of a productivity assistant instead of a full-fledged like Siri or Google's type assistant or even Alexa assistant. So in this release, Microsoft has made Cortana a full just standalone app. It's got its own settings. It no longer appears in the Windows settings area. It just has its own everything as if it's its own entity. And some notes here. It says Cortana has been redesigned similar to its original release. So Cortana changed over the years when Windows 10 first came out, and it got less and less important, less and less useful. And now it seems like Cortana has gotten a new design. It's not really new, but it's kind of new. It's more an homage to the very first releases of Cortana when it was built into Windows as the Windows search. Also, you can type to Cortana. That's another old feature that was already there in the past, but it's come back. It was taken away and then it came back. So now you can just type to Cortana. Whether you want to just do weather, you can do that and then it'll just work. You can just have that weather thing without having to speak to it or have a microphone or of any sort. And then another feature for Cortana, you no longer need a dedicated, like I said, it no longer has a dedicated page, like I said before. So everything is managed in the app. It's no longer managed in Windows settings. It's kind of like how Apple, it's kind of unlike how Apple puts everything inside their general settings app on iOS. This one, you can manage it separately. And then going down to search, so this applies to Windows search, not Cortana search. So regular search for Windows, they have reverse image search, and basically what that's going to allow you to do is you can put in an image and you can see where it's coming from. And where it's applied throughout the web. So if you have a picture of a person, you can see if there are more pictures of the person. How accurate that is, I have no idea, because we know a lot of these reverse image searches, they kind of bring a rough resemblance. Like if you put me in there, you're going to see another black person right there or whatever it is. It's kind of a mess, but hopefully this one is really good. We'll have to try it out deeper. Another thing here, better autocorrect. So another thing with the autocorrect for Windows 10 2004 or 2004 is that with this reverse autocorrect, basically if you misspell, let's say you want to do paint. This was an example from onmicrosoft.com. If you want to put in paint and you type it in wrong, you put like APIGN or something like that, it'll know like, oh, you meant paint, and it'll bring up paint instead of a web result that's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it's a little smarter in that way, that you can misspell something slightly and it'll still know what you're talking about, hopefully, most of the time. Let's see how that works in the future. Another thing with search is you can do quick searches. So basically, at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see, at the bottom of the search area for Windows search, you'll see like, you'll see what it says quick search, and it'll just bring up like relevant topics that you can search for by just clicking on it. It's not something you just type in. You just kind of click it and you can do that. And of course, you can still search the web with your start search, your Windows search, if you want to. Now moving over to the screen here, we got another thing here. So we got apps and features. Apps were pretty much redesigned. At least app icons were redesigned in a way that way back in Windows Vista times, Microsoft has been behind at the times in terms of updating their apps. In fact, you can look deep into the Windows registry and work deep into Windows, your documents and things like that, and you'll know the system folder, and you can see hidden files of the very original icons for Windows from like Windows 95. It's quite insane. It's crazy that those icons are still there, but this is a very big legacy OS. It's very bulky. It's very fat. So it's hard to update every single icon. But you're going to see some redesigned icons. Microsoft To Do got a grayscale icon, which whether you like that, it's up to you, but Microsoft To Do got a grayscale icon, and there's some few icon changes. They're getting rid of live tiles. I'm sure you can tell. So Microsoft To Do is a thing that is one of those things that no longer has a live tile, nor did it really ever have a live tile. Another thing, calculator, you can now pin the calculator, a smaller version of the calculator, so it always stays on top of whatever you're doing on your computer. So if you are browsing the web or you're doing a spreadsheet and you just want to type a calculation real quick, you no longer have to go to the taskbar, click on calculator, and then do it over and over again. So that's another very simple feature that should have been there. One thing I don't want them to do is overdo calculator. That's a good feature to add. I understand it. But Microsoft, please don't overdo it with calculator. Don't send too many updates to calculator, much like people are getting upset about Notepad being updated too much. And then another thing here, the task manager says you can now check your temperature and your GPU temperature, your graphics card temperature, and of course you can only use it if you have a GPU like I do. I have this 2070 RTX Max Q, so I'll be able to see that temperature fluctuate of why my fan is still on. The game bar, they're adding much more functionality to the game bar. On my other computer downstairs that I'm not recording this video on, the game bar has been updated, and basically it allows you to check all your stats for your hardware. You can check your CPU, GPU, RAM, and FPS stats. So whatever game you're playing, you'll be able to check those FPS and those FPS counters and everything like that in the game bar, which is pretty nice, as well as those third-party overlays that you can have with game bar now. Like you can have an XSplit overlay for game bar, and it allows you to do some XSplit functions. You can do some interesting things. It's really cool. Hopefully I'll take a look at that later on. We have another thing here. It says an emoji shortcut panel was added to Windows 10 in a previous version, and that updates regularly. You just press Windows key and period, and you can have the emoji, I'm gonna call it the emoji experience, the emoji panel pop up, and they added some new emoji and calmoji. So if you're one of those people who likes using emoji and calmoji, Microsoft has something for you too. Another thing in Windows settings, it says here network settings. In the network settings and internet section, Microsoft updated the network status page with a new design, and that highlights the networks you're currently connected to your PC. Networks you're currently connected to your PC. That made a lot of sense. Basically, from that page, you can view data and set data limits for networks individually. So if you're on an LTE connection, or you're where you live, the connection is not very strong, or you have a very limited data cap, you can closely manage those settings very well. And then you have Windows Update bandwidth. So Windows 10 2004 or 2004 users can now control how much internet bandwidth Windows Update can consume in the background. So again, if your bandwidth is very limited, especially during these times where just about every country is getting limitations, especially in Europe, on their bandwidth because things are slowing down now that people are stuck at home, you can set those limits so that way you don't get your whole house or your whole office space, their internet, just slammed slow. So that's a really nice feature. Cursor and pointer settings, you can now change your mouse cursor and pointer directly from the Windows settings under devices and mouse. Previously you had to redirect the old mouse controller panel to do this. So now they've created a text, basically a mouse pointer section for the new updated, Fluent. Let's call it the Fluent experience for Windows 10. So now you can adjust your mouse stuff instead of going back to the classic Windows 7 look. Yeah, let me see here. Another feature that they brought in was Windows Hello sign-in. So obviously we've had Windows Hello for a long time, and now obviously it says here in Windows 10 2004 you can now disable password login from the lock screen, requiring only Windows Hello PIN, face, or fingerprint to sign in. You can configure these settings in accounts / sign-in options. So you can modify what you can do exactly with your login credentials with Windows Hello, which is really nice. Windows Hello in safe mode, it says to complement these sign-in changes, Microsoft is now allowing Windows Hello sign-in to work when Windows is in safe mode. Safe mode is a feature, that you limit a set of drivers and things like that, so you can troubleshoot your computer. And now Windows Hello works for that too. You don't just need the admin password; you can also just use your face if that's a thing. So to me, that's an amazing feature. That's a really, really important feature to me, because there's a number of times where if you have a very old computer, like imagine this Razer Blade that I'm recording this on, in 15 years, if I forget my password and I'm like, crap, how do I fix this thing? And I'm like, there's no way, because I've moved on from this computer in 15 years. I'll be like, oh wait, I can just put my face there. Hopefully it's smart enough to know that my face is how it is, and so it'll let me in and I can troubleshoot my computer, reset my password, and move on. So that's bravo Microsoft for that one. That's a smart idea. I don't know why it wasn't in the first place, but I'm sure no one thought of that in the first place. And it says automatic restart for UWP apps, Universal Windows apps. So Universal Windows apps. So automatic restart, basically what that's going to be is when you sign out, your apps will re-log in again the moment you sign in. So similar to Apple, when you sign out, whatever apps you had in the background, they will come back when you sign in to your Mac. So it's the same way on Windows now. Your apps that are UWP apps, they will come back when you sign in. Now it says here to complement these changes, blah blah blah. It says here when you sign out of your Windows or shut down of your PC with apps running, Windows will attempt to reopen those apps when you sign back in. Windows 10 version 2004 UWP apps will restart automatically, in addition to the registered legacy apps that were able to do so previously. So UWP and some of the registered legacy apps, such as like iTunes. Well, iTunes now technically is a UWP. Similar to, I don't know, let's say you got iTunes from Apple directly instead of through the Windows Store, or the Microsoft Store, then that would work the same way. And it says here, resetting your PC with the cloud download. It says when resetting your PC from the Windows settings, you can now choose to have your PC reset via a cloud download, which downloads a fresh copy of Windows 10 from Microsoft to reinstall the PC rather than using a copy installed on your computer. So this basically makes it so much easier to have a cleaner install again. Some people I know, they like to refresh their computer every couple months because they don't do much on it. And so it gives them a nice option to refresh and reinstall Windows, as long as your original license was valid. Bluetooth Swift Pair, we're getting near the end. Bluetooth Swift Pair, basically similar to how Apple has their AirPods, we have Bluetooth Swift Pair. And it says Bluetooth Swift Pair is a feature supported by many Microsoft Bluetooth devices in Windows 10 2004. Connected Swift Pair devices are now easier than ever. Simply press and hold the Bluetooth button on your accessory, and a notification will appear on your PC to connect to that device. Simple as that. It's like AirPods, it's like Galaxy Buds. Things are getting easier to connect things finally, because before we had to go to settings and do all this extra stuff, and it's too much for the average person. They just want it to work. And then finally, in order to get this update, you really have to set yourself to release preview. Currently, it's gonna come normal through the normal avenues, like if you're just a normal user. But you have to go through the release preview of the Insider, Windows Insider, and that's pretty much how you'll get it. If you are a fast-ring user, you've been using it for a long time, like I have been, but for everyone else, that's how it's going to be. So, and then later on, it'll release fully to regular computers, average people, like my mom and people. So if you have any questions at all about Windows 10 at all, anything you want me to cover, let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching this extremely long video. Hopefully I put some colorful art stuff while I'm talking. Hopefully I'm not lazy. All right, everybody, take care. Today's video, as you can tell, Microsoft has just released the